Is this working? Okay. Hi everybody. Zazoo Plazz here. Leslie the Little Plazic. Out here, I'm at the school next to my house on my buddy bench. About a year ago, a couple years ago, they tore the old school down where my kids went, and they built this beautiful new school, and I haven't had a chance to get over here. It's literally right next to my house. My house, I just cut through the woods like I did when I was a kid, when I was playing Harriet the Spy. Let's see, they're still working on well, they kind of have the baseball field. There's that whole area over there, but it's all walking trails, and it's beautiful now. It took a while to get it here. We had to listen, for years we had to listen to all the noises of tearing down and trucks beep, 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 beep. Can you hear me okay? I got my mic on. And then we had to listen to the building up noises. Bang, 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 bang. Bang, bang, bang. And then finally last fall, when the kids could finally come from the other school across town where they were all going with the teachers and everybody, well, then the virus hit. So they have this beautiful new school, but they're all wearing, masks, and I think finally they're all going to be going 5 days a week. My son Jack he's still from home, but the little kids, they can stay safe because they're in the same classroom all day. But I wanted to come over here. It's so beautiful with the sun, and it's kind of warm for Connecticut. It's January 10th. Moon is in Sagittarius, which is why I was antsy to get out of the house. Sagittarius is active, restless. We can get a little preachy. To those of us who I have three personal planets, Venus, Mars, and Mercury in my third house, which is kind of like your childhood, your neighborhood. So I thought, it'd be great to do a little, investigating, come over here and, try doing a video here every week in a different spot. So lunch was occurring, so I got myself out of the house, and I'm over here, and I don't see anybody, so I can open up and talk as if we're sitting here on the bench together. And I want to try to I'm going to call these Sunday snapshots, because I realized, that's what they are. The present moment is a snapshot. It's what we're influenced by the moon, which is, our close planets. Venus is what we find, where we find beauty. Mars is our go planet. Mercury wants to talk, flit around. So I'm buzzing around like a million bees are in my head today. So I got up, I did a little workout. I'm going to try to tell you every week a little snapshot, and I'm going to talk about, health kind of everyday topics, and I'm going to talk about things that were kind of things that I'm working on, little stepping stones, and also something I learned during the week, or as of today, and also what will be my focus for the week to come. And I'm offering you this, take it with a grain of salt, to try to lift you up, to try to share some of my thoughts, and hopefully something will help you. Something, you'll hear something, it'll lift your wings for the week, for the day, whatever. Or maybe you'll look back on this in the future and, learn something. So for what it's worth, here goes. So I was thinking, today, I like to start Sunday with a Bible reading. The readings for the Mass for the day, and today was Jesus' baptism. And I thought, John the Baptist, Jesus goes to his neighborhood, pond or wherever, sea. He went in his neighborhood, and his friend blessed him. And that was started him out on his journey. And I said, that's perfect for January. We're at the beginning of January, and each of us is starting out our year, and our friends, and those we spend our days with, we bless each other, and we help each other to recognize, we mirror for each other. We're buddies. What does each one of us, what are we here to do? And if we pay attention and we get rid of the distractions and really, I start each day now with my notebook, hot drink, I ground myself, work out, and I write down all the little things I notice. And that helps me to pinpoint what I need to work on, what's good, what's maybe, needs some work. So this morning I started out, I made my Mime's crepes, and I put a little post on my page so you can see that. In the book, it's funny, I hadn't had crepes since I was a kid, since my parents used to make them for Sunday dinners. But I called the place where I worked, the Environmental Protection State Agency, I called it CREPE, the Connecticut Regulation of Energy and Protection of the Environment. And then all of a sudden, my mother, Friday, gives me this recipe for the crepes that my Mime, her mom, used to make her in the morning. It's a French-Canadian pancake, basically. They're very thin, but they're very filling. So it's held me all day with a little maple syrup. We had a little fruit on the side. And because I did that, my husband said, oh, you're making crepes. I'll make bacon and fruit and set the table. So all of a sudden, my buddy hopped up off the couch and started helping me without my even having to say anything. And then the boys came down. They're like, what's that smell? As teenage 20-year-old guys can be. What's that smell? So they were attracted to it. So they came, they ate, went off, grunted their approval. That's pretty good for teenage guys, So, and then we had our coffee, and so then I could take the dog out and do this, and I had plenty of energy. And I think my Mime was helping me. A few of them didn't come out so good. They had like craggly edges, and I burned one, and I don't know. I gave part of one to the dog. But one of them was totally perfect, and it looked like a mandala, with all the little designs, like a stained glass window. So that was a success. Something I kind of overdid it. With me, whenever something goes wrong, I usually do too much of something. It's a Jupiter thing. Jupiter wants to blow everything up, do it too much. So I get going, I start cleaning, usually for me it's activity. And then I find it hard to wind down at night. So I'm watching my movie. I was watching Leonardo DiCaprio movie, Catch Me If You Can, from a few years back. And Christopher Walken, and I look up and it's, bedtime. So, therefore, I find it hard to get up the next morning. So, you know, balance and pacing myself is always it's always a challenge. But I've learned if I can be present, no matter what I'm doing, then I can be aware of these shortcomings, you know, and bring them around, turn this thing around like a bus, you know. Just turn the bus around and get back on the road. Whatever. So, focus for the week. There's a new moon coming up on Thursday. And to get ready for it, one of my friends, Paula Gardner, I hope I pronounced this, Stupak Gardner. She does yoga, and she's going to be leading a yoga class from her home around Chicago remotely tomorrow night. So I'm going to join in and get ready for manifesting. Every new moon, you know, I write down stuff that I would really like to see happen. Abundance, health for myself, my loved ones, you know, inspiration for my business, for my books. And I do it kind of in the form of like a check, you know, and then I sign it, you know, it's thank you. I put thank you all over it, and I put it aside. And then the next month, I go back and I give thanks for all the things that the universe has provided. So if you'd like to try that, this is going to be a really powerful new moon, Capricorn. It's on the 13th, I think, 14th. Might want to check that. But so every month it's different. You know, this year I'm doing plans for the house. You know, going around and looking at the house and saying, how can we make this better? How can we spruce this place up? How can we get out of our comfort zone and walk around, and what can we learn? That's why I'm over at the school here. What can I learn? But my school is kind of an elementary school, because I find that what I want to do is kind of go back to my childhood and the things that used to make me happy, but do them consciously as an adult, and use the tools and the technology that's available now that I wish had been available back in the 70s when I was going around getting, you know, learning things, getting into things. So it's kind of like childhood new and improved in my 50s. So what have I learned? I think, oh yeah. I kind of told you what I learned, but the song that keeps coming in my head, well, today it just popped kind of into my head. That one by the Rolling Stones, you can't always get what you want. That's really appropriate for now, I think. It's like, you don't get what you want, but you get what you need. So it's kind of an old song, sort of, kind of a little before my time, but I think it means, and even in this current atmosphere, right? The people not getting what they want. So they go out and they try to make things happen, and they try to, you know, take off, and then they forget about other people. Sometimes we go off and we have our own agenda, and we forget to include other people. What's good for everybody? What's good for, you know, the people in my life and for the good of all? What's just? But, so sometimes part of us that's in the world, we go out till we don't get, I wanted to do my video over on the back deck. And my son starts playing the electric guitar. Welcome to the jungle. And I started getting, you know, I said, okay, this isn't going to work. So my plan was to do that. But then my plan got interrupted. So I said, okay, plan B. plan B is sit out here on my buddy bench, which turned out to be kind of a good idea that I probably wouldn't have thought of if I hadn't been kicked out of the house by, Axl Rose, whatever he's aspiring to be. He's into Sublime. Some of you might know that group, Sublime. That's the kid. He's got his guitars. And so anyway, when you live in a house with creative people, you gotta go with the flow. So there's pluses and minuses. So anyway, going with the flow means I'm sensing the sun is getting a little lower and I need to go and get some water. It's getting a little chilly on my buddy bench. But I hope all of you can harness the energy of this week, and I hope you get what you need. And if you don't get what you want, because that's what counts anyway in the long run, what does our soul crave? Sometimes hindsight is 20/20. You gotta look back and say, oh yeah, that's what happened. And I found out this week, as a footnote, one of my former bosses that I worked for, and I write about in the book, his name was Buck Hyder in the book. I found out he passed away last year in June, suddenly, at 75. And I hadn't seen him in years, but I thought that it just kind of blew my mind, because all of a sudden I was sitting at my computer and I said, oh, I wonder how, Buck is doing. So I searched on him, and it said that he died. And I had written a story about him in my book a year or two ago, and I guess this is the year, this is the time when all of those things I wrote about are kind of coming back around for me to be aware of. So, oops, we got people. Okay, so I hope you have a wonderful week and lots of joy, and I will talk to you next week. Zazoo Plazz, out. Bye-bye.